Hi. I've added you first before I go live on Facebook. So now I'm going.
Yes, makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you delete the other one?
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing now. Give me a second.
Yes,
I love this song.
I love it too. Oh my gosh, it's such a blessing.
Looks like we're live on Facebook.
Okay, great.
Can you see me, Alice?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, there you are. Okay, I think we're set. We're set. I'll turn this off. That's a beautiful song. It's by Florence and Danny, and the name of the song is Kibali. And this is Alice's favorite song. She's saying it blesses her spirit. And I've never heard the song, actually. This is the first time I've heard it. So this is now going to be one of my favorite songs.
Yay.
Yay. I'm really excited. So I'm actually going to look live on Facebook so I make sure that I can see people's comments when people come in. Alice, if you're able to, you can go ahead and share the live broadcast if you're able to. If not, don't worry about it. I'm just inviting a few people on the broadcast, and I think my husband will go ahead and do the same. So welcome to the Beacon of Hope show, whoever is tuning in this morning. Rise and shine. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. The Beacon of Hope show, for those who are new to the show, who have never watched it, is a show that's a Hope Hub project. And the reason you are here is not by accident that you stumbled on this video or this page or this show, because like you may have discovered that as human beings, we are able to take personal challenges, conditions, adversity, pain, and flip those around into purpose, into mission, and into something bigger than ourselves. And that's why I have the Beacon of Hope show, because I want to feature people like Alice, who maybe it's not a personal issue or a personal challenge, maybe it's a community issue, a cause that they've seen that they can impact, and they decide, look, I have the resources, I have the resiliency, I have the determination within my spirit that I can do something about it. By featuring people like Alice, who have a hope-inspired story, my goal is to spark something in your imagination, spark something in your life that will resuscitate your dreams, resurrect your hopes, help you rediscover purposes that you may have flung on the wayside, and decide to do something about it, because we're all about community. All of us are one global human community. So my guest today is Alice Aluoch, and I really believe Alice is one of those hidden gems in this community. I am so blessed to have her as part of this Delaware community and for her to be part of my life. She's a neighbor. Like, I could run to her house if I was able to have the endurance to run 3 miles. But she's that close, but I think we're closer even more so in spirit, because both of us love this whole idea of purpose and mission and motivation and doing something over and above what you are. So in terms of who she is, let me give you a short bio. I had asked her to just express to me, who is she? Who are you, Alice? And you know what she said, which I think was so awesome, and I wish this was my mission for my life. She said, I am a person who has a heart for making a difference and leaving the world a better place. Period. That's what she said. So in terms of her bio, let me go through a short bio. Alice is, in terms of a title, she's a global health organizer at Results and Results Educational Fund. And she's also the founder of Mfariji Africa, which is a nonprofit in Kenya that she founded in 2012, whose mission is to improve the lives of Kenyan girls by helping them to stay in school and complete their education. Mfariji has supported over 4,000 girls since it was founded. Her professional background includes working for several tech companies or firms as a network engineer before following her passion towards helping Kenyan girls achieve education. In terms of who she is in a nutshell, there's so much to Alice. She has such a diverse bio, but at the heart of it is a girl-child advocate with several years of experience in the sector, and she served as a global youth ambassador at a World at School in Kenya, and a recipient for a 3-year fellowship with Vital Voices, which offers training and mentorship to women. And Alice is a mom.
Oh my gosh, Faith, give me a minute. This is hilarious. This is like real life right here. Let me take my daughter upstairs. 1 minute, okay?
This is my life, not a problem. I totally understand. So the Beacon of Hope show is one of those shows that I have the ability to do it in my own house with my kids all around me. And so for that reason, you know, every time you see a show, I'm in a different location based on my kids and what it is they want to do or involved in that morning. So we totally understand. Please, while she comes back, in order for us to officially start the process, please invite your friends, your family, people who may be just at home chilling, watching Netflix. This is so much more important than Netflix, y'all. Let's inspire people to have global hope. Let's continue to invite people to a conversation that is inspiring, that sparks something within all of us, because I believe that all of us have a duty and obligation to do something broader than what we are. Just don't look at your own life. See how you can effect change and impact your community and your globe. So please tag, invite people so we can go ahead and start this show. Okay, so I'm by myself. Alice, I hope you're coming back. While you come on board, hey, say hi, say good morning, tell us where you are logging in from. Oh, there you are.
So sorry about that. I'm back. This is our life, right?
That's normal, not a problem. So
yeah.
So I went through your very extended bio. It's so diverse. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
It reflects so much of who you are and what you care about, not just your career, your education. However, I know that, you know, reading someone's bio and paper credentials don't really tell people who you are. Can you introduce yourself to the Hope Hub community this morning?
Yes, I would love to. So, well, my name is Alice. My best titles include I am a mom. You just had my daughter speaking a few minutes ago. So I have a 3-year old and I have a 1-year old.
Okay.
Almost two, actually, and almost four. And I'm also a wife. Those are things that, I mean, my family is the pivot in my life. Like, those are the folks who make me do what I do and wake up every single morning.
Yeah.
So that's just a very important part of my life. And then the other thing is that I am a champion for girls' education. It's something that I am super passionate about.
Yes.
Because growing up, that's the one thing that made a difference for me. So in a nutshell, that's who I am.
Wow. Okay. So I know we've had discussions on and off about your work and your passion, your special passion for girls' education. And part of that came from your upbringing. And you told me about how your dad was, even though the conditions, the circumstances of your environment were not the best in terms of propelling girls and inspiring them to go get an education, you had an upbringing that allowed that to happen in your life. Can you tell us a little bit just about your educational journey and then going into IT and why that was the path you chose?
Yeah, so I grew up in a large family, large extended family, but I only have one sister and one brother.
Okay.
And I grew up in an average family. So we had the basics, but not everything.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference for me is that my parents, and especially my dad, he's a big champion for education. So that's the one thing that really stood out for us. And that's the reason why we ended up getting to where we were, like myself and my siblings.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up choosing an IT, which is one of those careers that a lot of girls don't get into. Not because I honestly wanted to, but my dad picked that for me. So, I mean, growing up, I always loved public careers. I always envied news anchors in Kenya. Actually, I used to watch news just to see, you know, the ladies looking beautiful on telly and their wits and all those things. But so when I wanted to make that choice of what did I want to go do in college, my dad was like, you know, IT is not so far from media. Now, well, the good there's nothing close to that anyway. But at the end of the day, I think it turned out as a blessing for me, like as a blessing in disguise. I think, you know, choosing a career in IT grew me.
Yeah.
It put me in places where I had to challenge myself beyond what I thought I was, you know, I could be able to do. And then, you know, it got me exposed to it. It's a very male-dominated career. So most of the time, pretty much I could get away with a lot of things. But then I think there was a lot of learning, a lot of growing, a lot of knowing how men do stuff and, you know, getting immersed in that or immersed in that world.
Wow. I'm wondering that you've given me so much insight because I never knew that was your interest was media in terms of going into it. I was just like, you know, she's just analytical. She's a science person. She likes STEM and math and everything, which is like the way, by the way, it's not only intimidating to women to go into STEM careers, but it's intimidating to just people. Like for me, math was not my area. And so I gravitated towards the social services and all of that. And I'm really amazed that just like your father was that person who was in your life, who instilled and inspired you to go into STEM careers. But still, he was able to nurture and say, you know, it's not too far. You can still pursue your passion, but you have to have that, is it called like a safety net to where you have that robust career underneath, just in case media doesn't work out for you. So I think that's really appealing, amazing. All right, so both of us have had this discussion about changing, taking circumstances in your life that are tests or messes, and turning them into messages or mission, or taking pain and channeling it into purpose. And you spoke to me about Mfariji, which it was funny because I was talking to you about Beacon of Hope at the time, right? And I hadn't even started the Hope Hub. And you were like, whatever happened to Beacon of Hope? And you need to do that. And then you told me, this is what I started based on my own pain. Do you want to take us into, just lead us into how the genesis of Mfariji and what it is?
Yeah, sure. So this is, oh my gosh, this is one of the most sensitive. I don't even know what to say. It's like that's like the peak of everything I do.
Wow.
So I started in Mfariji back in April 2012. I was still in Kenya, and I wanted to make a difference for the girls in my community. As I said, education is such an important part of my life. And one of the things why I honestly just have such a passion for education is I believe, especially for people who are in marginalized areas, it's like it can be like that one ticket for you out of poverty. And that's what it was for me. And so it's from Mfariji, this was a personal story. I started it out of a need of realizing that girls in my village, girls in my community were not going to school because they were not able to afford sanitary towels. They were missing school 4 to 5 days a week. If you add all that up, it would end up being more than 2 weeks away from school. And then you have your boys' counterparts that you're competing at the same level. You're doing the same exams, but they're getting more time in school than you. And so girls would definitely not be performing well at the end of the day. Like in my own village, I see like from eighth grade or standard 8, which is what we call it in Kenya. Most of the girls would drop out. Some of them would, if they even made it to 8th grade, because most of them would get pregnant and then they would, drop out, get married at that very young age. And to me, that's something that I wanted to change. Again, the issue of sanitary pads is something that I went through. It's a personal story for me. That's pretty deep. And, getting to that stage of transitioning to womanhood and my parents at that time not being able to give me the comfort of a girl, of that transition process. And so realizing that years later, even when I'd finished school and gone to, started working and had a nice career, the girls were still going through that. That was like, like a light bulb for me. I was like, this needs to change, and it needs to change now. And what can I do from where I am? So that's how Mfariji was born.
Wow. And did you look around in the community and see that need was not being addressed by other NGOs, or did you partner with other people to do it?
Yeah, good question. So no. So this was completely new. Wow. It still is, like in my community, there's still no one else who does what we do up to now. And and you have to understand that in the villages, it's a taboo story. Like no one talks about menstruation. No one talks about girls' health. No one talks about that. It's one of those things, as much as it's a natural process, but a lot of girls go through so much pain getting into it because we don't get to have those conversations with our moms and our sisters. And even if it's taught in school, the teachers kind of just skim through it.
Yeah.
So there's still that, and it's still happening now. Like there's a lot of stigma around, girls' menstruation and all that. So no, I mean, when we were studying, no one was doing it. Even today, it's still, yeah.
I think what, to me, I have so much respect for you, is that you continue with this mission, even though you've moved thousands of miles away from your village, and you still have that heart and that passion to continue on with what you started. How is that for you in terms of trying to, impact change somewhere so far away in a remote part of the world, and harnessing a team around you that has to continue to have the same dedication and willingness to do that?
Yeah, one of the things that my mom tells me, and I think it carries me in some of my darkest days, or some of those days that you feel like, why do I do this? And does it even make a difference? Does it even matter? And my mom tells me, and she said this to me over and over, that sometimes when you think about all those little girls who will never get to ever meet me probably face to face, and that's probably a girl who's down on her knees praying for something to happen, because otherwise they're going to have to miss a whole week or a whole 2 weeks out of school.
Yes.
And she said, remember that when their prayers go up, the blessings come down to you. And that's something that drives me and pushes me every single day. Wow. So yeah, and with coordinating, to be honest, Mfariji works on the back of volunteers. We've had people who've just been passionate and dedicated to making a difference. And it's hard, but I think it also grows you as a leader. And you realize that this is not the kind of work that you can do if you're not in it from deep within yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I probably was part of my other questions towards the latter end, but I think it's an appropriate time in terms of just the challenges of raising money. You know, is that something that you struggle with, and in terms of getting donations and fundraising, and you know, how can people help?
Yes, so we do have fundraising in different aspects. So, you know, we have like online fundraisers through Global Giving, where we have folks that just donate money. Some of them know us, some of them don't have an idea of who we are. And then we also do like normal grant proposals, and which is something I haven't done in a long time because I've been very busy. But that's what I've been doing over time, and getting partners. Even in Kenya, we've worked with Deloitte Kenya, we've worked with Safaricom, and it's just out of us just sending out, you know, reaching out to those organizations and saying, this is what we are doing. And you know, the other thing that I have to mention on that as well is we've grown from, we started as you know, just a nonprofit. I mean, for me, I didn't even have a vision for it. I just started as I wanted to make a difference for my community. I just wanted to give out sanitary pads and make sure that girls would stay in school. But then over time, we've run a leadership program that's gone for a year. We've ended up having someone graduate from our leadership program and get into a scholarship fund. And yes, and those are things that make me very happy. So we have, you know, different categories of fundraising. Some people want to fund scholarships, and some other people feel like, let's continue giving out sanitary pads. So it's been different aspects. It's been online fundraising.
What about in the US, if someone was interested in partnering with Mfariji, is that something that's also available?
Absolutely, yes.
Volunteer or partner?
Yes, good question. Yes, so we've actually had churches here donate. Some of them like have given me like money directly, those like Kenyan churches that know me pretty well. I've had churches that are just different, like a friend introduced me or made, you know, got me introduced to the pastoral team. And we had a church in Chester actually donate a lot of sanitary pads that I shipped to Kenya. So that, yes, so we can still be able to access that here, you know, by word of mouth, by you telling somebody else, hey, I have a friend of mine who does this. So we do that as well.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that, and I'm also glad that you talked about the fact that it's not just about the sanitary pads and the impact in terms of losing days in school, but also the fact that your organization is also instilling leadership skills and doing workshops and training and mentorship for those girls. So it's a broader mission. Even though at the beginning it was about, you know, giving those sanitary pads, that's just an inroad into the life of a girl and impacting that girl for life, you know. So, you know, we'll make sure that we post the information about Mfariji. That's your baby, that's your passion. So that's what I'm looking to it. So let's transition to you coming to the US, and then, you know, figuring out the networks and wanting to work, you know, get a job, and now your role with results, I'll call it results, Delaware Results Globally Educational Fund. I don't know what to call it, but I know that it was service, then employment. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yes, and oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. So came here, that was like 5 years ago. I think I'm gonna be 5 years this year. And I was coming in to join my husband. And, you know, in the midst of, you know, that transition process and trying to figure out, what do I do? So I'm on my laptop and I'm just Googling, and I see one of my friends, we were both global youth ambassadors for World at School. And she was talking about results. So I reached out to her and sent her an inbox and told her, you know, what is this organization about? So she sent me the website. I went to the website, and they had, you know, a place you could fill in if you want to learn more about, you know, the information and learn more about them. I got a call the next day from a wonderful guy called Nick, who really was my mentor in this organization. So I started as a volunteer, and I volunteered for Results for 4 years. One of the things that was a game changer for me was being told, you can actually use your voice. And there's power in me raising my voice to call out on my senators, my representatives, you know, our legislators, on issues, or holding them accountable for issues that I want them to take action on. And I grew up in a country where you don't get to see your members of parliament. You know, you see them when they want you to vote them in, and they have like a million promises. And they don't get to see them until after 5 years again, right, when they want to get into office. So that was my first reaction. I was like, wait, what? I can call my senator? So being like, just understanding that I have that power as a constituent, you know, as resident of Delaware, that I can actually call my senator, that was very empowering for me. So that was how I started my journey. And then I ended up starting a chapter for results in Delaware. And then I was a group leader for like 4 years. And then that's when I transitioned now into staff as a global health organizer.
Wow. Did you ever get tired of volunteer? 4 years.
I know.
Like straight up volunteering.
Yes, but I think, to be honest, to me, I've done volunteer for so long. Like, I think from the time I was a little girl, I've always wanted to make a difference. So to me, it's never, I had never even thought about it like I'm volunteering for this organization. It was the fact that they get to give me an opportunity to make a difference. And I know that Congress and the US government makes decisions that affect my home country.
Yes.
And if I have and if I can see like a lot of people here who are, you know, going to those advocacy meetings, having those face-to-face meetings with our senators to talk about issues that's affecting my home country, what's my role? And why should I sit home and not do the same thing? Yes. So it was never for me like a volunteer. It was like, I know I have a voice. Yes. And I know if I speak up and somebody else speaks up, our elected officials will listen and change will happen. And that's what I want to see.
Wow. And so you guys who are watching on the Hope Hub, you can see how you can turn something that you're really passionate about and just decide, I'm going to serve. Because I think what keeps her going, what keeps Alice going, is the fact that this is a passion. It's not a job. It's a call to action. It's a calling. It's a ministry. It's a mission. Whatever you want to call it, it's a purpose. And so that's why she was able to be in the trenches and serving. And in her service, you couldn't even tell that she was doing it as a volunteer. You'd have thought she was employed by results. And so when she finally got this job with results, I was like, you know, both of us were like, but God. Because
God, thank you.
Almost you're interviewing for a position you've been doing for 4 years for free.
Yes.
Your passion and you get paid for it. So in terms of results, I know that you're bombarded with so much information in terms of global poverty and serving vulnerable populations, and you know, you're looking at the world in a global scale, and the issues of the world can be so huge and appear so hopeless. Do you have any hope that you can give to the Hope Hub in terms of, can we move the needle on any of these global issues? I know that's a very complex question.
Yes, but it's a good question.
Yes.
It's a good question. And here's how I'm going to respond to that. So do I have hope that things can change? And do I feel like we also have a role like in making that happen? Yes. Here's why, and I'll give you a good example. So tomorrow we're going to be celebrating Mother's Day. No, on Sunday, right? Tomorrow.
Yes.
So one of the big issues that Results works on includes ending child and maternal deaths. And, you know, when I think about us as, you know, diaspora folks, as immigrants, as people who are living in this country, and, you know, me and you as well as moms, right? And knowing how privileged we are that our kids were born in this country and they get access to all the healthcare they need. But we also know pretty well that that's not what's happening across the world. Like, you know, we have 5.6 million children who are dying every single year, you know, because of preventable and treatable causes, things like diarrhea and malnutrition. We know that translates to 7,000 newborn babies every single day. That's like a massacre. Yes, and I know every time I hear those numbers, it's like it's a fresh again in my brain. But the good news is, like, when you look back since 1990s, that has been, like, child and maternal deaths have been cut in half. But one of the things we can think about, even as we think about tomorrow, as we think about celebrating Mom's Day, is just having that reminder at the back of our head that this is not what's happening across the world. And some, you know, a lot of moms have lost their children. And one of the things that Results is working on right now is actually a legislation called the Reach Every Mother and Child Act.
Okay.
And it's sponsored originally by Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, who is a super champion for global issues, global health, global education, and just Africa in general.
Okay.
So, I mean, you know, we have a role. We could, that's one of the things we could think about, like reach out to our congressmen, reach out to our senators, call out on them, say, please think about the fact that we have children and moms who are still dying, and we could do something about it. And we know that U.S. leadership has a huge role in making that happen.
Amen. That's true. I know one of the things for me that you inspire me on is to take a more active role in terms of activism and advocacy in the community. If you guys look up Alice, like she's the type of person who will write the letter to the editor to the state news. When an article comes out, because I remember you writing an op-ed, and it was something to do with, you know, when I went to the hospital, like Christiana Hospital, and I had my first child, and I was sitting there thinking, look at me, I'm fully staffed. I have nurses, I have doctors, I have all these people who are making sure that my health is protected and my child's health is protected. But at the same time, I'm looking globally and looking in my country and seeing how this kind of opportunity and access to healthcare is not available, and something needs to be done about it, because the US has that power to take resources or training and help us kind of cultivate better resources in our communities across the globe. So I just say to you guys, sometimes you don't have to necessarily be the person running the organization or doing the fundraising, but sometimes all it takes is your pen. It's your typing something out, and that's seen by a senator, or you calling your senator's office and advocating. So Alice, like for real, like what she's saying is what she does. If you see her pictures, she has pictures with Chris Coons, she went to his office. Lisa Blanche Rochester, you went to her office. And it's like, these people are people just like you. So don't be fearful. They're supposed to be our representatives, not only here, but also for matters in the world that pertain to us as immigrants, especially, or just as people in general. So let me pivot to your IT background and your, your background as a network engineer. And I know that, you talked about media being the reason why you kind of were like, okay, I'm good doing this STEM program and being in science, just so I can kind of get closer to the lights.
Yes.
And journalism. I think that's awesome. I think that's amazing. That, look, Facebook is a platform, right? You can be my co-host on Hope Hub. Come do on Hope Hub and be a journalist on Hope Hub. So, I guess I was bringing it back to your passion for TEDx. And the fact that you're part of that, the team, you've been part of the TEDx team in Wilmington. Talk to us a little bit about TEDx and why that's important to you, and give us some insight on that whole part of your life.
Yeah. So, so usually I have a vision board and I write some of those things, and I know you do the same. Like, I know, right? Like those things that you want to see happen. And I've always wanted to do a TEDx talk. Okay. So, when I learned, and I think I got in when it was maybe 3 or 4 years down the line, pretty new. And the executive producer is called Ajit, such an incredible person. He's done a lot for the community of Delaware. I can't even begin to, express that. And I reached out to him and I said, I want to see what I can do for you. So one of the things that we have to know, like at the back of our heads, is obviously TED is about ideas worth spreading. Yeah. And I watch a lot of TED and TEDx videos because it's about people who are changing the world. It's about people who are taking up their passion and converting that into their purpose and making good out of it. And that's what inspires me about TEDx. That's why I wanted to be part of it. But for me, it was more exciting, not just like thinking about being a speaker, but then going on the background and seeing what really gets to happen to see this whole show come to life. And I was involved in that for quite a period of time. I think that was in 2016. And it's just such...
Can you tell us what goes on behind the scenes of the synopsis? I'm interested.
Yes. So, well, it depends. So it depends whether you want to be say you want to be a speaker. So there's a process, obviously, for TEDx. If you want to apply to be a speaker, they have a lot of rules and regulations in terms of like videos have to be 18 minutes, a lot of things that goes into that. And then, we were doing preps. I got to interact with, I felt like it was, I don't know what to say, like change makers, and I had that first-hand experience of getting to be the one reading their edits, reading their scripts, what they're going to be talking about, and then reading their short videos, because you have to do that, like do a short video so that we can tell you, do we think that's an idea worth spreading? Do we think, again, in TEDx, you just can't come and sell your organization. It's about something that's very generalized. You're sharing an idea to people with what's happening in the world or even locally. But it can be that you just come in to talk about, this is what I do with my organization. So that was, to me, such an incredible experience. I was at the backstage when we were doing the real TEDx event, and doing the miking the speakers and just getting that short 2 minutes of one-on-one conversations, getting to know these incredible human beings that are just have decided not to settle for comfort zones and have decided to just push themselves beyond their boundaries and see what can they do. And what inspires me again about TEDx and TED is, at the end of the day, I truly believe that we've all been given something to do. Like, we're all here for a reason.
Yeah.
And what is that one thing? And sometimes we don't know what our purpose is. And that's why I always say, and TD Jakes is very famous for saying that, find your passion, and your passion will lead you to your purpose. And so that's one of the things that was very incredible for me. Going through the TEDx process.
Wow.
Yeah.
So think about it, Hope Hub audience, and I keep looking at the comments. That if you have a question, by the way, for Alice, don't hesitate to write it down. A question for Alice. Not for you can go ahead and type it in, and I'll we'll make sure that she answers it.
Yeah.
But with TEDx, one of the things that whenever they have that announcement, you can become a TED talk on TED or whatever, I always wonder, like, okay, is my idea really worth spreading? So I like the fact that you're one of the people who actually determines whether it's an idea worth spreading. So I can pick your brain on what it means to have an idea worth spreading. Because I think a lot of people feel like, everything has been done. Like, what you have as part of your experience is not new in the world. So is it really something that's worth spreading? But anyway, I think with all of us, everybody has unique life experiences, and we're all unique individuals. And so I believe that if you feel in your gut that you have something that is shareable and you want people across the world to know about it, then go ahead, reach out. You never know. And there's a lot of coaching and stuff that goes on with TED as well. All right. So we're almost at the end.
Okay.
For those individuals who are going to happen on this interview, part of the Hope Hub global community, I want you to just give us some advice, some hope in terms of them being able to impact the world globally. Like, what is it about you that says, I can do something, I can make a change, and I can give hope? Just give them some lessons learned, advice from your life experience.
Great. So one of my best nuggets is, don't just strive to make a living, strive to make a difference. And I think what people struggle with, and probably, what I've seen is, the fear holds us back. You don't want to put yourself out there, because half the time you're concerned, what are people going to say? Probably I don't fit in. I don't roll my tongue the way everybody else does. The color of my skin is different. I know we don't even get to realize that until we come to this country. But I think, life is what it is. The worst thing is to live your entire life with regrets and get back to saying, like, 10 years from now, I wish I made that step. I wish I took, I made that choice, I took that step, and you didn't do it. I say every time when I want to have or make a big choice or just do something, I always tell myself, before I ask or before I take that option or that chance, I don't have what it is that I'm asking for, right? So whether I get it or I don't makes, if I get it, good for me.
Yeah.
I would have pushed myself. If I don't, that's also good for me because I've made myself believe that, I can make that ask even if the answer was a no at the end of the day.
Yes.
So ask away, put yourself out there, I mean, that's what I did when I came here in terms of putting myself in the community. I was in Toastmasters because I always loved public speaking. I joined Toastmasters. And
you started that Toastmasters chapter.
Yes.
If you can find it, start it.
Yes, I was part of the Toastmasters in Wilmington University, and I think at the end of the day, it's just putting yourself out there and seeing what's available and not having the fear and feeling like, at the end of the day, we all bleed the same blood. Let's get out there and do what we need to do.
Yeah, like the acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
Basically, you're acting as though there's something there, and there really isn't. I'll make sure that I get to the questions. Let's see, Hannah Njao, thank you so much for watching, Hannah. She's asking, what do you think about doing podcasts, Alice?
What do I think about doing podcasts?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that's a good question, but I don't even, I would wish to do that. And I think people, is she asking in terms of her doing it or?
I'm not sure. She hasn't said. Hannah, if you can clarify. But what do you think about podcasts in general? Let's put it that way, maybe.
I think it's a great way of sharing ideas. I listen to podcasts sometimes in the morning, and I think it's a great way for you to put yourself out there. It's a great way for you to share your ideas and what you think to the world. It's also free for you to be able to access that and keep putting your ideas out there. So I think if it's in terms of her thinking about, can I do a podcast? I think go for it.
It's like, why not?
Why not do it? Yeah.
I mean, from what I've heard lately is that, in terms of podcasts, a lot more people are listening to podcasts than used to. I think people used to think in the past that those who listen to podcasts are more like the intellectuals, they're listening to NPR and all of that. But now podcasts are so diverse, and people can take up a topic, decide this is interesting to me, put a podcast out, and your niche will find you and they'll listen to you on the daily. So we're headed to, I guess, in terms of technology, podcasts are just becoming more and more part of our, people are listening to them on the way to work, they listen to them in the house. We're in that audio generation. You want to hear things, but of course also like on Facebook, you want to see things, and you can also multitask or multi-purpose content. So for example, with me, what I'm doing here on the Beacon of Hope show, which is visual and audio, I can strip this and make it into a podcast. And recently I've heard about Alexa briefs as well, which are like a minute, I think, of just audio content. So you can just go in and make a really small brief, and someone will listen to that maybe as their dose of inspiration on a daily basis. So, go ahead. So Hannah did not give us her clarification. Connie, welcome to the broadcast. She says, fear, yes, it's the biggest enemy living within us. We feel so intimidated. Let's see, I'm just scrolling. Advocacy and citizen journalism. We are powerful change makers. That's from Hannah. And she also made sure that she wrote down the name of the act, Reach Every Mother and Child Act.
That's great. That's great.
So, in terms of your own life, what is hope to you? What gives you hope going forward? And this is more of your personal life. What is your anchor?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a good question. It's such a broad question. But I think, for me, hope is, just seeing the world a better place and knowing that I have a role to play in making that happen, in waking up every day. The one thing that honestly takes me to bed every day, makes me happy, is that I get, and I know not a lot of people can say this, and I'm grateful. It's not something that gives me an ego. It's something that really humbles me to know that I wake up every single day doing something that makes a difference for people. And that just makes me go to bed at night feeling better. I know that I'm speaking up, I'm using my voice. It's the list that I have. I have my mouth, I have my voice. It's the least thing that I can do is just use it, for the right purpose. And knowing that I get to do that for millions of people that will never, probably meet me, but at the end of the day, their lives get better because I'm not sitting on what I have. That just gives me hope. And I know that the world, there's a role for all of us. The world needs to jump into this, you know, use your voice, become an advocate, become a champion. And it doesn't have to be as, you know, advocacy is you just speaking up for somebody else who's not able to do the same thing. It can be as powerful as reaching out to your senator, but it can also be just you speaking up in anywhere, just in a situation where you have an opportunity to make someone else's voice heard. If they can do that, just do that, you know.
Wow. You know, you kind of wrapped up. That's so powerful what you said. And one of the things I was looking frantically for just to look for a quote from Les Brown, because I know both of us love Les Brown.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Love Les Brown. But one of the things he says, it's not a quote, but one of the things I heard him say is that, you know, it's so important for us as human beings to persist and just persevere in every situation that we are facing, because within ourselves we have the power to create, and we have the power to make a difference on the planet and make a difference in our lives, and most importantly in the lives of our children. So it's really about making sure that you can leave a legacy that is going to surpass, you know, your time here on earth. And I just love Les Brown. He talks about, if you fall down, make sure you land on your back so
Because
that you can
look up,
right? And you can
yes.
You know, get the momentum and stand up. And so I'm hoping that just through this conversation with Alice, someone has been inspired, someone has gotten that spark in their life back, where they're saying to themselves, look, I have a voice, and my voice is vital to this community. I can speak up for someone who is vulnerable and someone who is disenfranchised, or whatever the cause may be. That's all this Beacon of Hope show is about. So in closing, I do want Alice to tell us where we can find her online, and so we can make sure that we can, you know, donate to her causes or partner with her on her activism, or just connect because you find her as an interesting individual.
Thank you for that opportunity, Faith. So I'll finish with just one thing. Just to say, we get one life to live, and it's not a rehearsal. Make the best out of it. And then you can find me on, you can look up our website, that's Mfariji, Mfariji, Africa is in Africa.org. That's my nonprofit. If you want to get involved in like advocacy work, Results has chapters across the country, and you might not be in Delaware, but you might be in a different place, and you want to get plugged in you know, getting involved in advocacy to end global poverty. Please check out results.org or reach out to me. That's what I do every day, is train and recruit new advocates, you know, who are interested in ending poverty. When you go to our website, mfarijiafrica.com, when you go to, we have a donate tab, and it takes you directly to global giving, so you can be able to give to our projects. We have the sanitary pads project, and then we also have the scholarship fund where you can donate or even decide, I want to just take up a girl and support her.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alice. We're done. We're hoping to get this done at some point. So I really, oh my gosh, I appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule, your mom's schedule, for supporting the Hope Hub, the Beacon of Hope show. And thank you for inspiring my purpose, because without you, I would not be here. You're the person who was like, whatever happened to Beacon of Hope, you need to do that. So thank you for just helping me get my own purpose out of my mess and turning my life around. So God bless you. Have a great Saturday. Have a great Saturday, everyone that watched us on the Hope Hub. Next weekend, we will be back here on the show. And make sure that, you know, keep coming to this page. Invite your friends and family to follow the Hope Hub. God bless you all.
Thank you, Faith. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.